And to this day, I mean, there's reserves all over Canada. Indigenous people still to this day do not have clean drinking water. I mean, there's water boil advisories, at least 200 a year. I mean, it's disgusting. You know, so again, we love we love to feel good and pretend that just sweep everything under the rug and not acknowledge, what we've done, not acknowledge what we've done or what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I was interviewed by Press TV via radio a few days ago, and you can find that interview near the top of the blog with my comments about the outlash with respect to Trump and the Paris Agreement. And I point out that it's all a show, that the whole thing is a show intended to distract people. And there's nothing to be gained by the Paris Agreement, and it doesn't really matter what Trump does. Trump is going to be the biggest fall guy in history, in my opinion. We do have a caller, Bill from Indianapolis. Are you still with us?
I have a question about a very specific prediction that you made recently, and that is that we'll have an ice-free summer based on, I think you said, daily trend lines in the first week in July, or weekly trend lines the first week in August. And that's kind of a shocking prediction, and you said that it was with like a high degree, 95% certainty you felt that it would be that way. So my question is how did you get the information to get to that point? Where is it that you found that information? Because it definitely piqued my curiosity,
Yes, it is one of those things that gets your attention, isn't it? Yeah. There's a guy named Torstein Vidal, and pardon me, Torstein Vidal, if I'm incorrectly pronouncing your name, and he has done the trend analysis based on the latest data about sea ice. So he's the one who put together the trend lines based on the recent averages for daily and for weekly. The Arctic ice information is put out on a daily basis, and all he did was project forward based on the most recent weeks and less conservatively based on the most recent days. Now, of course, there are problems with forecasting based on the most recent days, especially if you only have a few days to forecast with, and the Arctic ice has been in free fall during those few days. So I'm crediting Torstein Vidal with that analysis, which I think is spot on. I can't imagine that we will have Arctic ice on the Arctic Ocean by September. And the U.S. Naval Postgraduate College did an analysis in 2013, and they predicted ice-free Arctic in 2016, plus or minus 3 years. Well, I'd say we dodged 4 bullets already, 2013, 14, 15, and 16, and now we're about to see that they weren't far off with their prediction of 2016 plus or minus 3 years. Of course, we can't continue to go down the path we're going down and not expect there to be some adverse consequences. And it looks like the bill has come due. Thanks very much for the question, Bill.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
That's so interesting, Guy. I was just talking to Forrest yesterday asking about the Arctic sea ice because 2017 was such a key date. I mean, back in the early, even back, I remember 2007, 2017 was such a key date for the summer Arctic sea ice disappearing. Like, what will happen when that albedo is finally gone? I mean, how quickly can we expect things to heat up at that point?
Well, there's at least 2 contributing factors to global average temperature rise when the Arctic is ice-free. First and most obviously, there will be much less albedo, much less reflectance. When the white ice is gone and is no longer reflecting incoming solar radiation, incoming sunlight, then what we're going to be left with in that dark blue ocean is a whole lot of heat absorption. And Peter Wadhams predicted in 2012, 5 years ago, Peter Wadhams pointed out that we can expect the energy absorption at the level of the planet to go from 0.75 watts per square meter to more than 2 watts per square meter in the presence of an ice-free Arctic. Already from the early 1970s until about 1990, when the energy absorption of the planet was about 0.43 watts per square meter, we went from 0.43 to 0.75 from the 20-year period of the early 70s through the early 90s, compared to the period from 1991 on. So that's a profound increase in energy absorption by the planet, and that's with ice still present. And so Wadhams is, I think, reasonably and perhaps conservatively pointing out that when the ice is gone, we're going to be absorbing more than twice as much energy as we have been so far over the course of the last 20 years or so. So that's
things will really accelerate quickly at that point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a classic self-reinforcing feedback loop. And then, to make matters worse, there's a second factor, which is methane release. And if there's no ice cover over the Arctic Ocean, I can't even imagine how quickly the oceans of the world are going to heat up, and the terrestrial planet will heat up as a result of methane release.
And did you see that?
There's no long lag with heating associated with methane as there is with carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is about a 10-year lag between emission of the CO2 particle and maximum heating associated with that CO2 particle.
Yeah.
So there's no such lag with methane. It's right now. It's today. And it takes less than a year for the methane to circulate the entire globe.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Did you see the new report that just came out in the past day or two, basically about the methane hydrates that are found bubbling outside of the permafrost zones?
Yes, absolutely, and that's an important point. We might want to hit that again. What Cory said was outside the permafrost zone.
Yeah.
Not within the permafrost, but beyond what we consider permafrost. There's now these methane volcanoes going off.
Which makes the whole idea of the whole, throwing out the Paris Agreement just so much more ridiculous, Stevens, than, to even be discussing. I mean, it's just so beyond meaning. It just has zero meaning at all at this point in time. It's insane.
Yeah.
Guy, I'm going to need you to tell me when to start wrapping up, just because I don't have access now to my computer. I'm on the phone.
Oh, right. You're in the next
my communication got nicked, so just let me know.
I'm glad we can hear you now. So that's a small price to pay. So, yes.
Yeah.
I will let you know when we're close to that point.
And another thing, too, let me know. I hope that we can have, maybe on the next episode, Clive Spash. And I think he's Australian. Serena, have you heard of Clive?
No, I haven't. So I'm keen to talk to him.
Like he's actually an economist, but he's the most radical economist I think I've ever encountered in my lifetime. And he's very, very much exposing the whole point, and this just goes to show you what a moron Trump is. I mean, the whole point of the Paris Agreement is the financialization of, first and foremost, the financialization of nature, which will be like a huge, huge new market for a global economy that's close to stall speed under the capitalist system. And so he's been working on this almost exclusively. I mean, I could name not even 10 people on the planet that are constantly working to tell people what's happening today behind closed doors, and that's the payments for ecosystem services assigned to everything in the world that provides life to humans, and anything that provides a service in nature. I mean, we're talking monetary price assigned to everything everything that you can think of. And so again, like a whole new market, that's what the Paris Agreement is for, first and foremost, and that's being done under the United Nations global, quote unquote, global goals, the Sustainable Development Goals. And so it just goes to show you, how that whole administration really has no clue. They're not even really in sync with the power structures and the elites that have designed all this.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that, because one of the biggest worries for the Australian government with the death of the Great Barrier Reef wasn't the welfare or the disappearance of the reef. It was the impact that the death of the reef would have on the local economy and the tourist economy.
Yeah.
The death of the